All right. Welcome to the Rolla Board of Education meeting. It's March 20th. And tonight, and we didn't have any resignations, did we? We didn't. And no retirements?
Nope, we did not.
So we do have a special guest this evening. Recognition, right? Here I am. We have tonight with us, we have our House of Representative, Tara Peters is here to present the board.
Oh, good, I stayed.
Yeah, I kind of feel weird doing this with all the stuff going on.
It's okay.
You're good.
Hey, we're glad you're here. Yes, it was a good week for you to be here.
I just
Yeah.
know it was school board week, so I just
Do you
wanted to
want
say.
to talk into the microphone, Tara? Sorry.
Yeah. It's actually a really good week for you to be here, so.
It is a good week.
I mean, I know it's your spring break, but
Like I said, I feel a little bad. I know that you guys have been really busy. Just wanted to say, really proud of you guys for all that you're doing for our schools. So I know it was school board week last week, so I just had certificates for everybody. Just wanted to say thank you for all you do. Appreciate everybody and appreciate all the hard work. So, and then I know Carla.
Well,
You guys go up
let's
for
get a picture.
okay,
Get
yeah.
a picture.
Thank you.
I see you today.
All of you holding yours.
Thank you. Jim's not here, Jeff's not here. Yes, thank you, dearest.
Yeah, jump out there for a picture, guys. And then Jordan would also like, while you're up there, she'd like to get one with just the board for
I'm in West.
do one with Tara and one without.
Hey, get what you get. Get what you get and you don't throw a fit.
It's all fine. Whenever there's a meeting to have some.
Yes, I know, we got no makeup and hair pulled back, it's totally right. Hey, it's not what it's about, right?
Now what it's about. About all the great things on this. Are we centered?
Upside down.
Oh, it is. Sorry.
There's lots of things upside down around here right now. I feel like that was just to fit in. Like,
You want to take like 1 second more?
do you want me to put Jim over there in a picture on the computer?
He's on the computer. Okay, and then can I get one with just board members too?
Oh, yes, you can.
All right, one of you seriously for one picture should hold Jim up.
Can we?
Yes, you can.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna shift you again since she said that. Okay, you want to hand
All
Jim?
right, bring Jim in.
I'm bringing Jim in. You guys gotta hold Jim right in front.
Got it.
That was great.
Thank you very much, Tara. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Tara.
Tara, thank you for all the work you've been doing on our behalf, too.
Yeah, no worries. So you've updated everybody?
Yes,
Anybody
yeah.
have any questions while I'm here?
She,
You guys
We-
having all the.
Not right now.
she'd already told us about the days, yeah, so, yep. Very good.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you, Tara.
You too.
All right. Let me think. Next, we have Dr. Blue and Karen Lambeth. Dr. Lambeth. Doctor?
Blue.
Doctor?
And we all got ours together.
And their
Yes,
sister
we
doctors.
did.
They're sister doctors.
Sister doctors.
Yes, sister doctors.
Three of them.
Funny.
I'm adopted.
I am Karen Lambeth, and I am currently the president of Rolla Community Teachers Association. And because this is School Board Appreciation Month, we wanted to let you know how much we appreciate what you do. I have been blessed to hold many roles in Rolla Public Schools, first as a student, then as a parent, and currently as an educator. I will see all of what you do for our district and the community. It does not go unnoticed. Rolla is an amazing place to grow up, raise your children, and work.
Get closer, King.
I think it's
Do a little
working.
Okay.
closer. There you go.
Okay. In the past 5 days, I have seen Rolla what it truly is, an amazing community, and you play a vital role in it. Thank you for everything you do and continue to do to support our district and the community as a whole. As a small token of our appreciation, we have a gift certificate to South Central Creamery for each of you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
And so I also want to say thank you. I could not have moved from Wyman to Wyman West without your support. The very first volunteer that I had show up in my classroom was a board member, and Sue was there from start. She was the first one, and she was the last one to leave. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate what the board does for us. There is no way we could have been through this whole process this week without your trust in our administration, without your trust in the staff. And I want to share with you a quick story about the students that we in Rolla have raised. There were 200 plus high school students who said, I want to come make sure school will be back in session. They want to be here. They are prepared to help us. And standing in Wyman, when the teams of students walked through, was just, you just stopped and watched. That's who we're raising. That's what we're doing, and we couldn't do that without your help. As I was leaving, watching the lines of trucks and trailers lined up to make sure that we can do what we do, they did it. Our community did it. Our students did it. And that's because we have the support and we're allowed to do what we do because you believe in us and you are not demanding little bitty nitpicking us. You're letting us do our job, and we appreciate you.
We appreciate you guys.
Yes, very much. We're incredibly proud of all of the work that's gone on this week.
This week, just, I mean, I already loved Rolla, but this was like, this is us.
it,
This
right?
is our school. This is what we do. So, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. I did this in wrong order. Okay. I would say we have questions from the floor, but we don't have anybody else here, so. You have our MSBA certificates. Wonderful.
So let me read this part.
Oh,
So on behalf of MSBA and our district, Missourians benefit every day from dedicated energies and countless hours, you can hand those out, devoted by a group of more than 3,600 men and women from communities across the state. These public servants are elected by local constituents and do not receive compensation for their tireless efforts. They are the local school board members of Missouri. During the month of March, communities across the state honor the dedicated service of their boards of education during School Board Recognition Month. This goal is to build awareness and understanding the important function of an elected board of education plays in communities and schools. So we are very proud and honored to recognize all of you and be a part of that. And to echo what the lady said, we appreciate you more than you will ever know and respect all of you highly. So thank you for your service to our community and our school and for all that you do.
thank you.
Jordan wants another picture
With these certificates.
because she has a list from Gina and we're going to
We have
follow
to do
it.
what Gina says.
Gina says.
Because if Gina said, that's what we're doing. Well, we're not going to risk it.
We're not chancing it.
She said that her husband was forcing her to go on the trip. And that if she didn't get on the plane, that he might
He might
divorce her.
divorce. That is
And
absolutely
I said,
correct.
if you do not go on this trip and relax, I'll help them file the paperwork.
That's exactly right. Do you want Jim on the side again? We'll do one and then we'll do Jim again.
Are we centered okay?
I was gonna say, Carla, everybody else folded theirs. If you wanna- My OCD will get you on that one. Okay, well, I Jim.
Jim, photo op, get ready.
Hold up, look, he's face.
Okay, I'll smile.
Got it, thank you.
Skype in or Zoom in or whatever. That's right.
And the cups that you have are from all of us. So
Thank you.
Oh, yummy. Got all that good stuff. Wait, what's in there? We know it's sweet.
Thank you all.
Some bulldog swag, anyway.
We love our bulldog swag. All right. Next, we have the consent agenda. A consent agenda is utilized by the Rolla Board of Education as a means of dealing with routine matters which must be considered by the Board of Education but require a minimum of discussion. All Board of Education members receive and review written information supporting the items listed on the consent agenda well in advance of the meeting. While any Board of Education member is welcome to remove any item from the consent agenda for separate consideration or discussion for any reason, normally all items on the consent agenda are approved in one motion with a minimum of discussion. So tonight, we have items A through E.
Let me throw out just a couple of quick comments. Under contracts, item 7, so this is a locker system to be utilized at the high school as part of our one-to-one program. What this does is it allows a student, if they're having an issue with their Chromebook, they go to the locker system, put in their identification information, they load their broken Chromebook into a locker, it secures it, and then checks them out a loaner. So we don't have to have a tech sitting there to do that part, and then tech can go through on their schedule and pick up those that are in need repair. Once they repair that, the student gets a notification that they can come back and turn in the loaner and pick back up their Chromebook. So we think this will help us manage the manpower and not have our techs locked into those student interaction pieces. They can deal with the tech issues. So that's the goal there. And then the PT/OT contracts, those are our contracted folks. So between our teaching staff you approved earlier that are functioning in those roles, some of our other employees are direct employees. They do not get contracts per se. They get work agreements. But these are the folks that we're truly contracting as outside vendors with. So that's the difference in those. So that's, I think, all there unless you all have any questions.
I'll make the motion to approve items A through E on the consent agenda.
I'll
Thank you.
second.
Thank you, Charlotte. All in favor?
Aye.
Jim, your turn. We need an
Yes.
Okay.
Those
Gotcha.
opposed? Motion passes. All right, now we're on to old business, our long-range facilities update.
So
Dr. Fulton?
there's not a lot going on. I mean, well, there's a lot
There's not a
going
lot
on,
going on.
but as far as old business goes, let's talk about the auditorium right now. The FRL panels are in and are being installed as we speak.
Oh, my goodness.
So they have them in at the bottom of the stage right now. That is what I saw yesterday. Believe it or not, I was able to stop by there, and they're looking really good. So very excited, should be up there hopefully by the next board meeting. I will have finished pictures of the stage area and the FRL panels for you. So, Dr. Dare, you wanted to say something else there?
Do I?
I don't know, do I?
No.
Okay.
You're good.
Great. All right, now new business, policy updates. Dr. Dare?
So no presentation on this. We sent those policies to you. I think I shared with you before. We have somewhere along the way we've had some skewed things with MSBA where we have older versions of policies that are now showing up and newer ones. And I don't think I'm not blaming MSBA for that. I don't really know what happened, but we're trying to clean that up a little bit. So I would tell you that we're not finished with this batch of policies, but this policy set represents, I'm going to say, the low-hanging fruit. So a lot of these were editorial. So for instance, there were a few of these policies that had some language still about the reorganization that happened a few years ago. There were a few that had some mileage rates that hadn't been updated and some things like that. So editorial things that the board has already approved in the past that we just didn't get updated in policies for some reason. The second set that you have tonight are the ones that are not the second set, but probably the second part of that are probably the bigger set, are things that are required by law, things that we have zero choice in. They are the law. They go into our policies as part of that. So I am bypassing the committee on a few of those just to clean them up and get them off the plate. We have several that still need to go through committee and be discussed. but we're just trying to get a good baseline to start from with getting some of these off the plate. So most of those policies for legal stuff have to do with House Bill 681 from last year with the reading and literacy initiatives, and then Senate Bill 727 from this past year, which was that huge omnibus bill. But there were just several little pieces of that impacted policies. And so in that regard, what we'd ask you for tonight, there are several to approve and then a small group to rescind. The rescensions are all policies that MSBA has rewritten and included into other policies. So the information is still in our policies, it's just presented in a different way. But happy to answer any questions or look at any of those that you have questions about.
So just a couple questions on the AI piece. It talked about an AI coordinator.
So
Do we
we
have
have
that
designated
identified?
Dr. Welch as our AI coordinator for
Okay.
now. And we think probably going forward that will look differently. But in the initial steps here, as we get kind of started and start fleshing out bigger policies around that, Dr. Welch is taking the lead on that for now.
Okay, good deal. And then on the memorials of facilities and grounds, I noticed that it removed the word donation and replaced it with the word gift. Is there anything we need to do with our sponsorship documents or anything out there that needs to have any verbiage changed?
So we do not have official board-approved forms, but the processes and things that we use for the district side, we typically just issue thank you letters and those kind of things. Most of the true donation type things run through CORE,
Okay.
and they have their own kind of system. So
So we should
I'll
be okay?
double check that, Carla, but I
Okay.
think we're okay.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
That's a great question, though. But we will double check that. So there's actually, you can do it in one motion or two motions. It's up to you, but we have policies to approve and policies to rescind, however you want to do that.
I think we can do it all at once.
You can,
let's
yeah,
just do it
absolutely.
once.
Make a motion to approve the policy updates as presented in our packet.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
You ready to vote, Jim?
Yes.
Okay.
Those opposed? Motion passes. All right. Next, we have the state of the district.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got it.
Okay, so originally, this was in the board agenda as the state of the district because we were going to present to the Chamber of Commerce on yesterday, the state of the district. We do an annual presentation there and just talk about our district as a whole, projects we're working on and things of that nature. Obviously, some things have happened since we put the agenda out Friday. So we're not going to do that presentation. We're going to talk about the state of the district, quite literally. So there's not a presentation for this. However, we have received some preliminary reports from some of our initial inspections. This is a draft copy, so I have not shared this with the board. We just got this from our architects. So Amy's going to help show those here in a little bit as we kind of walk through that. But want to kind of fill you in on where we are and talk big picture and next steps. Let me start out by saying, once again, thank you to our Board of Education. Thank you to our community. I can't say that enough, and I don't know that I will ever have the right words for what we've seen over these past few days. It is truly amazing, inspiring. It's hard to believe. I don't even know how else to say it. I'm a little tired, so I don't have all the right words, but it's just, there's never been a no. It's always, what do you need and what else do you need? And it's been incredible. We had an amazing group. I'm not even going to begin to try to thank people and list people off, but we had an amazing group of vendors and businesses that have donated food for our staff over these last couple of days as they've worked. We have water and drinks and all the things. We had people bringing stuff for students who may have lost things in this storm that we can help share out with our community. We've been very blessed to have our students out in the community, as was mentioned earlier, helping not only in our buildings and at our school campus, but just out in the community in general. That's our athletic teams. That's just kids that wanted to show up and do something. They wanted to help. And what a great opportunity for them to learn and see a community come together and overcome this catastrophe. So very grateful. Those are the positive things that we've seen, and it's unreal to know how much happened in such a short time, but that was due to everybody's involvement. So we'll talk through a little bit about where we are with the district, and we'll probably do that building by building. So Amy, do you mind to pull up that document? I'm not going to go through this piece by piece, but this has some great pictures in it. So, and I can't control it from here, so Amy's going to have to scroll, I think, right? I can't turn pages from here, can I? Oh, I can. Never mind. I got it. All right, awesome. So we're not going to get into the weeds on this a little bit, and the pictures are a little smaller maybe, but I just want to kind of give you a picture. So this is middle school. We were in the middle school when the storm came through with the drama production. They had the first three numbers were fantastic. Then we didn't get to hear any more. But we had obviously some major roof damage there. Primary impacts to education were the classrooms under that roofing flooded and significantly flooded in some places. So lots of broken ceiling tiles, lots of things damaged, desks, all kinds of things with the water that came through. Some of the units that we just put on in our 2023 bond were lost. I think we're still at 17. But I want to be clear with that. Those are the ones that we can physically see have been moved by the storm and are obviously and grotesquely damaged. What we don't know yet, we still do not have power at the middle school. So there will be things that we don't know that we can't figure out until the power comes back on. So still lots of things to chase there. Some other damage on the roof itself being the biggest part of that. Primarily, if you're looking at the front of the middle school, it's isolated to the right side of the auditorium and then to the far left of the building. So closest to the softball field and then farthest away from the softball field, if you can picture it that way. The gym and some other areas kind of shielded some of the other units and things on the roof is what we believe at this point, at least. So lots of things to do there. We have relocated the classrooms that were most affected by that, either within the building or over here to RTC. So all of our fifth grade classes will be holding class here at RTC for the remainder of the school year. And they are set up and ready to go. We'll talk about those moves here in just a minute, but that's all happening and ready to go. The gas lines are obviously a question on that building. Obviously, the gas is shut off, so they're not in danger. But we're hoping we don't necessarily need heat for the rest of the school year, but we will definitely need gas for the kitchen. So we also have temporary repairs taking place to get gas service back to the kitchen. Basically, we will bypass everything on the roof and just go directly into the food service area. Just some more pictures, more things damaged kind of things there. Awnings.
Have they indicated anything about when the power will be coming back on?
So we have been in communication with RMU quite a bit. The issue with the middle school is part of the damage to the middle school power is at the middle school. So with the hundreds and thousands that were without power, that one building is not, and we understand, not necessarily a priority.
Sure.
But they also have to get in and do some other things kind of leading up to that point. So we were told probably another 3 or 4 days. It'd still be a little bit of time. Okay, just a few other pictures. I do want to talk about this one. I shared this with the staff, just some of the strange things that we saw from this, and I think these stories come out of every storm type of thing like this. But that's an emergency light. So, but it's a battery-powered power pack. The ones in this building are within the ceiling. But so these are on the wall. They kick on when the power goes out. Just provides some emergency evacuation lighting and those kind of things. This one was laying out in front of the middle school when we left the building Friday night and was still on. It was glowing very brightly, shining on the ground, shining straight up. What we learned after the fact on Saturday afternoon is this is actually, that unit is actually from the Mark Twain cafeteria. So it traveled from the Mark Twain cafeteria, made it all the way down to the front door of the middle school, and was still putting out the light. So the power pack itself was really good. This are some of the, again, these are kind of small, and I apologize, but give you an idea of some of the damage in the classroom. So lots of ceiling tiles that were soaked and wet. Those falling in combination with the amount of water in the rooms is what really caused the damage inside. Everywhere one of those units was sitting, we have 17 units that are displaced on the roof. So everywhere one of those was sitting, there's now basically what equates to about a 3 foot by 3 foot hole. And so obviously, you can see daylight through most of those holes. It's quite literally open to the sky. And so that's obvious, that's where the water and all those things came from. But large area impacted by that, lots of water. So just to kind of address a few things, we'll just go building by building. So middle school, we have the 5th grade moved. 4th and 6th are still in the building, along with support services. We will actually be feeding all of the middle school at the middle school. So 5th grade students will report, everybody will report to the middle school itself. We will feed breakfast there. They will do their specials there. We'll transport them over here for class. They'll transport back and forth for lunch. And then they'll go back before the buses and parents pick up at the end of the day. So everything will still happen, parent drop-off pickup and food service and everything for the middle school will still occur at the middle school. Now, before I go further, let me back up and say with a caveat, subject to change if something happens. So it's still a fluid situation, still fluid. We're still adapting, still changing some things, but that is the plan at this point. We think we're going to be able to make that work, and we think that'll be the simplest for parents and everybody and traffic and all the things. So that's the plan at this point. The other pieces with middle school are just kind of helping with those special education pieces, title pieces, those things. We think in those transports of students back and forth, we can accommodate those pieces as well. Otherwise, there are some staff that shifted over with 5th grade to do some of the other things here. So in combination, we think we can serve every kid and take care of everyone's individual needs as well as the groups. So that's all seemingly working fine. So as far as the damage and those things, Dr. Fulton has worked a lot over these past couple days with our insurance company and mitigation companies. So mitigation at the middle school, they will be trying to do some temporary patching on the roof before this weekend, or at least by this weekend. It will not be perfect, but it will be better than it is now, at least to stop the main water from coming in. But they will also be going into the building and doing some mitigation for mold and mildew and moisture, pulling out the rest of the ceiling tiles, pulling out some of the things that are able to soak up water in that, so that if there is any more water that gets into those areas, it can be cleaned up easily. They'll put
A desiccant heater.
thank you, desiccant heaters in, which also just dry the air so there's no mold or mildew that will grow past that point. So we do not want to put any kid in a building that we don't feel is safe. So we will mitigate those completely and make sure we'll do air quality tests before we resume classes, all those things. So again, once power comes back on, we know we'll have some other things to chase, but right now we are confident that we will have the building safe and ready for kids. So that's our goal there.
So all 12 classrooms from 5th grade are already
All
here
12
at RTC?
5th grade classrooms are here at RTC and in their rooms.
Great.
And RTC did some shuffling. East Central College did some shuffling for us. So I do want to thank them. They combined some classrooms and shifted some schedules and moved some people around to help accommodate us in that regard. And we're very grateful for that.
So with the transporting of the kiddos to go over and eat lunch, how does that work with the time? Do they already have?
So they're gonna have to shift their schedules just a little bit, but we think we'll probably have to dip into that pride time
Okay.
that they kind of use, and so there's time there. It will just look different.
Gotcha.
But we think we can maintain the educational environment and the time that they need with just a little flexibility.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so that's middle school. let's see, what is this? This is obviously Mark Twain. So I think everyone's aware probably, but our major damage at Mark Twain was to the cafeteria area. I'll dive into that here in a second, but I should mention there is damage to the roof in other places. There are some other things that have to be repaired, but they're minor and not open to weather. So there's places where the membrane has lifted. There's places where we've lost some guttering. There's some things like that, but so from what we can tell at this point at least, all the things have either been temporarily patched or are not open to weather. So we don't have water getting in the building. It's just something we have to address so for the longevity of the roof. We had lots of windows broken on that Salem Avenue side. So a couple of those classrooms do have, well, 2 of the classrooms have all of their windows boarded up. While we understand that that's not ideal, we also know that we have classrooms throughout the district that don't have windows. So it's functional and it works. Most of those classrooms along that Salem Avenue side have at least one window pane that is now boarded up. There was lots of damage throughout those areas. Okay. So I'll call your attention to this middle picture. This is the issue that we were trying to figure out over these the first couple of days. So the entire roof structure was removed from the building other than, or dropped down into the building other than this segment of the roof, which was still somewhat attached, but also very much hanging and very much of a safety concern. So before we allowed anyone back into that building, we had our structural engineers in on Sunday. We had a team of 9 people, structural, mechanical, architectural, from multiple agencies, 4 different companies in at the same time. So they were all reviewing the same information, seeing the same things, having the same conversations to make sure that we were safe to be in this building and the others as well. They reviewed the ones with damage. So obviously it's not safe to be in this area, right? So we had to mitigate this fairly quickly. So we did bring a company in to address this. And so as you know, if you've driven by lately, you know that they have pretty much already taken out most of the exterior walls there at Mark Twain. We had to remove the exterior wall, the short wall, what I call the short wall on the Salem Avenue side for the excavator to get access into that area to address that. Okay. So that was that piece. As they have worked through that, that pressure and the fall of that roof also damaged the stage wall. So if you think about the front wall of the stage there at Mark Twain, that wall was damaged. We used the stage for classrooms, so title services and other things. We were hopeful that we could stabilize that wall and allow us time to vacate that room with all the stuff. That didn't happen. When they got to that point and started to get some things down that were not safe, the whole wall went. So we did lose that full classroom of stuff, not on Friday night, but just actually yesterday, but it was as a result of the storm. We have one additional wall at this point that is not stable. So we have the engineers coming back in the morning.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That is correct. So
Okay.
Archer Elgin will join us. Honer is not there. Melissa will join us. And the structural engineer company that our insurance is sending us as well will be here tomorrow morning around 9.
So we will reevaluate that wall and see if it's stable enough for us to empty that classroom or if we need to vacate that. We do not think we'll be able to use that classroom, and we've already planned for that. But we just need to know if we need to get the stuff out of there or what that looks like. We think that's the extent of it, but we will have them evaluate and make sure we don't need to go further. But that's the piece. The big question there is, I think at this point, we think we have that remediated enough, at least from the initial assessment, that would allow us to continue using that hallway and those restrooms. Again, we will not do that until we know that it's safe to do. So we will have the engineers back in as many times as we need to evaluate that and make sure that we are safe for occupancy before we would put anybody in there in those areas. So the staff have a backup plan if we're not able to use that hallway. We will still be in the building. We can go around that area. We can cordon that off. We'll petition it off, blockade it off. We can have the 3rd grade. The biggest impact of that would be the 3rd grade classrooms that would probably have to go outside and back in the other side door to get to the gym and those areas. Our biggest barrier, hurdle, problem, I guess, if you could say we have one problem there, is obviously food service. So in losing the cafeteria, we've also lost the kitchen. And so our plans there, we will prep food at one of the other buildings, most likely junior high, being right there close. So we will prep food at the junior high, transport in, and serve. The kids will eat in their classrooms, and we will accommodate them that way. We've done that in other buildings. We did that some during COVID times. That it will work. I do want to make sure everybody understands this. We will be serving hot food. This will be the regular lunch menu. We will have that at temp. They will get everything served. It will probably be on paper products for easy cleanup, and we don't have a way to clean that stuff in the building, so we'll serve on paper, but it'll be hot regular food with milk and the full regular meal. So I want to make sure everybody understands that. We're not going to try to shortchange that and do lunch boxes or anything like that. It'll be a full service deal. A couple other questions, or a couple other pictures here. You can just kind of see some of the areas where the roof line, this is still at the cafeteria, where it literally, just the lift of that was incredible. And I can tell you that roof was built at a time, I think early 50s, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly from my brain here. Things were built a little differently then. So the wood was wood, and it was larger, and the beams in there were massive. So the lift on that, to get that off of there, was pretty incredible. These are, again, some of the pictures of the area under that cafeteria side, the classroom there on the stage. I don't know what those are.
That's the room.
Oh, that's the roof. Yeah, I'm sorry. So those are pictures, sorry, the detail. Those are pictures. There's some little, they call it kind of bubbling. It kind of pulls the fasteners up. It doesn't pull them out. So they just have to be, they'll have to go back and repair those and patch, but the membrane itself isn't busted, so. Okay. It's kind of a picture of some of those window areas. This is one that the maintenance team had already boarded up. This one is boarded up now. But we did have those areas checked as well. There was no structural damage. What actually happened to those two particular classrooms is debris hit those and just pushed the frame completely out of the building. But the steel supports and everything around those were true and plumb, so there was no damage there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Breakfast,
Uh-huh.
is that gonna be served?
Same
just in
thing.
the classrooms,
Yep,
just
same
like the
thing.
lunches?
Yep. And they may pivot from that, depending on how many kids are eating or something, that we could always use the gym to do a little quick service or something. But the plan right now will be all the meals in the classrooms. I am sad to say our new chiller that we just got was also damaged and is unusable. So we are looking at some alternatives, because that means Mark Twain, the great majority of Mark Twain would have no air conditioning to finish the year. So we are chasing some alternatives there. I don't have that answer for you at this time, but we are looking at some options to address that. It took almost a year to get that chiller, so that's not something that gets replaced very quickly. They will assess that again, but at this point, we've been told that it's probably unusable, so that's most likely won't change. Okay. This is Wyman. Wyman, I would tell you, in my opinion, took the hardest actual hit. So if you kind of orient yourself to this picture, you see the water tower there at the top, but this is the office area on kind of the top of the picture. The gym would be down here toward the bottom of the picture. In the bottom picture, office over here, gym over here. So it kind of grabbed that roof there at the office area and rolled it. Essentially almost like a burrito, just kind of rolled it back. In doing so, it pushed the gas line off the roof. We had a gas leak there on Friday night. That was taken care of immediately when we discovered that. Couple windows broken, but the damage at Wyman is really confined to the roof area, and then all the classrooms underneath, of course, flooded once again. So the repairs here will be a little more extensive. This is a little bit of a different style of roof, so there's a different insulating factor and some things on this roof. It will be taken down to basically, again, open sky. and then re-roofed. So the repairs at Wyman would, once the materials are all in hand and they would start, they need about 3 weeks of good weather. So probably 4 to 5 weeks realistically here in the spring, which puts us really close to the end of school. The entire building is affected other than the quote-unquote new wing, which isn't very new anymore, but newer wing where the gym is. But that would have dropped us down to about 6 or 7 classrooms, and that's not enough to function there and make that work. So we are very blessed to have been part of this early childhood project out at the Blues Parkway facility. And so we have split Wyman into 2 pieces. So the early childhood special education programs at Wyman are now being housed at Green Tree Church. And we are very grateful for that partnership and that extension of space for them. And then our K-3 programs are now housed at our new facility out on Blues Lake Parkway. We will be communicating things to parents as far as drop-off pickup times, maps to make that work. We will get everybody all the details about food and things. Wyman will have food in the same way. We will transport food to the building. Most likely high school will prepare that, but we'll talk through that, make sure. But we'll prepare that food, transport it out there. It will still be served hot. We took the cafeteria tables from Mark Twain. They were still in the cafeteria. I think we had one that was damaged. The others were fine. They didn't move. So we took those out to Wyman. So the kids will actually have a cafeteria space to eat at. And so they'll go to lunch like normal. They won't know any different. Their food service is actually, their food service equipment is actually their food service equipment from Wyman. It's exactly the setup they will see every day that they go in to eat. So other than the tables and the location, it will be the same for that part. Transportation is our biggest impact there. Obviously, Wyman serves our south side of our district. So those bus routes that go out South 63 are now a long way from this facility. And so that is the biggest piece. Hank and Leo are working on some options. We may add a bus route for the remainder of this year to help with that timing a little bit. But realistically, those bus routes will probably have 20 to 25 minutes added to them if we can't figure that out. And it's just getting through town. That's the piece that we can't accommodate. But we're working on details. Again, we will share all that information as we have those things finalized. I would anticipate that information coming out mid next week. And we will follow through with those things. We have combined a few classrooms. So there are a few classrooms here at RTC with the middle school and a few classrooms out at Wyman where we have 2 teachers in a room, but their rooms are large. Here in the boardroom is one example. We have 2 teachers who will be here in the boardroom.
Great, this is a great
The
setup for
teachers
class.
love the team teaching thought. It will be great. They're actually kind of excited about it, I think. So we will make sure that works out and everybody gets what they need there. Talking through the rest of Wyman here, and then we'll circle back to a couple things. So again, most of the damage was due to the water issues that incurred from the roof being peeled back. But the interior damage at Wyman was significantly more extensive over a greater part of the building. And there's just no other way to say that. So lots and lots of water and things that were destroyed. Teachers lost personal items, rugs, tech items, computers, phones, those kind of things were destroyed. Doesn't take a lot of water to cause a lot of problems, and we had a lot of water. So
So in terms of those teacher personal items, does that go into the
So our
of the
insurance will cover
contents?
some of those things as well. There are some caps up to $1,000, but we think that'll cover most of those things. The damaged items have been accounted for, and we'll work with our insurance company to work through those things as well. This is an aerial shot of the playground area. The sheds back there were impacted, so there was a PTO shed that was filled with all kinds of things. I don't even know how to say that. There's a lot of stuff. And then there was just a shed the building was using for storage, so extra custodial supplies and Christmas decorations and some things like that. And so all of that debris was scattered over the playground and that area in the back, along with some roofing and debris from some of the neighboring facilities. The debris has been cleaned up thanks to some of our wonderful volunteers, student organizations, and faculty. for the most part. We'll still have some additional cleanup to do. The wind these last few days has been a little problematic. You pick something up, you walk 3 steps, you turn around, there's stuff back there again. So there will have to be some continued cleanup efforts for some of that smaller stuff. But we will also we've done a quick visual inspection, but we will have the engineers and stuff do inspections on all that playground equipment. We just want to make sure nothing was hit by debris or something that we can't see with our eyes. So we'll have all that checked out thoroughly. But that building will not be occupied for the rest of this school year.
Dr. Dare,
Ma'am.
I haven't had a chance to tell you, the mitigation company is also coming into Wyman. We are working to mitigate that as well, to block off the areas that were unaffected to make sure we don't have any further damage. So they're going to put sandbags down because we are due for rain this weekend and all of those things. So they are going to help us mitigate that building as long as we need them.
And same thing, we're pulling out anything that's water soluble. As we made these moves, I think it's important for people to understand, we had a lot of people wanting to volunteer, and I actually, very nice couple that had checked in with some people and kind of came into the building, were helping a teacher pack before the teacher got there. And that's a very traumatic thing for a teacher. But we asked them to do some very purposeful things. So what they packed first to take things to their new location that they needed for the rest of this school year. So if they've already completed units or things that happened earlier, they didn't take those things to the new location. So we tried to minimize that move. But also in these damaged areas where the roof replacements are going to happen and they're going to have to remove the full thing, we had to get everything out of those rooms. So the second phase was packing all of that and moving it to areas of the buildings that were not impacted so we could store those things. So it was a very coordinated and monumental effort, and took a lot of moving pieces. And we had people folding boxes, we had people delivering food, we had people moving boxes, we had people communicating and pointing. It was truly amazing. One of the teachers made the comment that they wish we had been able to just post a drone over Wyman, especially over the last couple of days. I think it would have been probably more flurry than an anthill. Just the number of people, the number of vehicles, the number of things that happened in a very short time there and at middle school were quite impressive. A few other damaged things, then we'll talk about some next steps. This is transportation. Kind of hard to see, but they had some debris come through the roof. The power poles on the north side were I don't know if they were broken off or pushed, so I don't know how to describe that, but they were not where they were supposed to be, so I'm going to say that. In doing so, it pulled the power line that feeds the building and caused quite a bit of damage to the electrical box there. So that facility is still without power. Hence, as you noted earlier when we were in the boardroom upstairs, we've moved the transportation offices over here temporarily so they have power and their software to work on routing and to answer those questions that we need for parents with all the building moves. So they're working on that. We just got actual power here within the last couple of days too, so getting our network back up and getting back to the point where we can operate on a full-scale basis has been a barrier for us as well, and I do appreciate RMU in helping us and prioritizing some things for us to keep us moving. Some other metal damage, there was a bay door over there that was damaged, but through all of this, with the line of that storm, if anybody has seen that, we had 2 bus windows broken. And I don't know how we had any bus windows left. It's pretty amazing. So if you look at where all the trees were laid down and everything, it doesn't make sense, but that's what it was. This is this building, so we had some damage to the awnings, some trim along the roof, gutter type things. This gets into some more mechanical drawings and stuff. I'm not going to spend time on those. We've already talked through some of that. So, okay, Amy, I think that's good on that. RTI does have some roof damage and some things, some skylights and things that are cracked. I will tell you, I'm going to tell this funny story just because it's still funny, but they were concerned. The power came back on at RTI this morning. We asked all the teachers to go check their rooms, look for things. There was a very foul odor. They were convinced that maybe a sewer pipe had broken or something. But it turns out if you leave crab legs in a freezer for more than a few days without power, they have a very not nice smell. So Thankfully, that's all it was. But we will have we will have that building evaluated by the engineers fully as well. They've looked at it, and we don't know of anything majorly structural, but we will have all that fully evaluated too. So, what am I not thinking of? Parents, obviously, we know have questions about all of these things, and we are working on those details as quickly as we can. We will push all that information out within the next week. Long before we get back in session. We know parents are going to need to adjust and shift, trying to work out even our staff and their children's shuttles and things to make all the pieces work. Hank and Leo are working on it diligently. We will host some open house events. We know that as a parent, I would want to see where my kid's going to be. So those will not likely happen before we come back, but within that first week or so that we're back in, we will host some open house events where everyone can come in, especially middle school Wyman and Mark Twain. We want parents to know. We want to be transparent with that. We want them to see what we're doing. And so we will arrange that. We will communicate those times once we have those set and figured out. So know that we will do that. We want you to know how we're managing this. Obviously then, and Dr. Fulton has started that next step with the insurance company. Their consultants are coming in. Their roofing consultant was here today. We have adjusters and stuff back on site next week.
Yeah.
Lots of layers to that. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I've been in contact with our adjuster a lot. He's great. He is putting all of these resources in our hands. So in every step of our process, we'll have a consultant. So we are going to have JB Held, which works with us as far as reinsurance goes, I believe. Is that right?
That's
Okay,
correct.
make sure I get that right. And then we have a roofing consultant, we're going to have a structural consultant, and lots of people in our way. Not in our way, but in our way to help us, to guide us in this process. So they're not against us, they're here for us, and it's been really refreshing to see. So Patrick and I spent the day with the roofing consultant this morning and early afternoon. And the minute I made a phone call to the restoration people, I finally got their name and number. They were here within 2 hours. I don't know how they got there here that fast from St. Louis, but they are. They have people on site here ready to go. They'll be back at 8 o'clock in the morning to start this process. They'll be here all weekend helping us. They are here to work for us, and it's like, okay, now what do I tell them to do? So we're learning that process. They have been great. Can't speak enough. Even Ron Orr from Music came down and met with Dr. Dare.
Ron is the director of music. He's the CFO. So he came down, we took him around, did a little tour. We were not the only school district impacted by this storm. They actually have 16 districts with damage, 3 significant. So we are not the only 3. There are 3 of us that are displacing students as a result of this one storm. So they obviously have their hands full a little bit, but they're working through it and working with us. I would tell you that being a part of that consortium, that music consortium that we are, those are our funds. And they are school district driven, so they understand our needs a little differently, and they understand what we need. So in talking about teachers' personal items and talking about the contents of rooms, talking about temporary fixes, the word was, don't call me, just do it. Take care of what you need to do. Get your kids back in school. So buying remediation things, we're going to need some things to help with these food service shifts. We're covered on all that stuff. So we're not spending our taxpayers' money to accommodate this storm. That's what our insurance is for. So they are truly amazing to work with and have been truly supportive through all of this. I would also like to say that we have had our elected officials reach out. The Department of Education has reached out in multiple ways. Commissioner Esslinger, our DESE supervisor, Mike Whitaker, have reached out almost daily. Just checking in, seeing what they can do to help. We have asked for some things, and they have responded quickly. So they're responding to our needs, and we appreciate those pieces as well. It would also be remiss of me not to mention that we have had multiple school districts throughout the state pitching in. I want to mention one in particular, and I mean no disrespect. We will thank everyone when we can sit down and kind of think through this, but I do want to mention Ginger King. Ginger was our former tech director, relocated to Neosho a few years ago. Ginger drove 30 access points to us for the new building from her district to loan us to get that going. Drove them up here herself and dropped them off. We've had districts, Union loaned us switches to put in that building. We've had districts dropping off supplies. They're reaching out and asking questions. But I want to kind of wrap that part up with another thank you to our community. We not having a lot of ability to manage stuff and things right now. We've asked our community to think about donating through CORE so that we can utilize those funds and provide what the teachers need. Because this teacher needs an office desk or an office chair. This teacher needs packs of paper for their students. This teacher needs a rug. So trying to manage that so we get what the teachers need, we've asked for those donations. And Jordan, I'm looking at you. We are, I forgot the number.
Yeah, no, so at our meeting this morning, we were at 4,000, and then we've had close to 2,000 in checks brought in.
So we have not checked back on the core side because Gina manages that and she's out of pocket right now. But we had over $4,000 donated as of this morning. We've received another $2,000 in the office today. So we are well over $6,000 of just local dollars, people wanting to just help get our teachers back, get our kids back in school. And that speaks volumes too. Just the trust that they have in us to know that we have needs and they know that we'll take care of our people. So we appreciate that sincerely as well. We will continue.
I did see a question online about Amazon wish lists.
So
And we went to a class on that last fall.
Yeah.
And that is a little bit of a challenge for inventory purposes.
Right.
And a time like this, when we're replacing things, if people are buying directly, it's not part of our inventory.
right.
So,
Yeah, so thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, we've asked our staff not to use the Amazon wish list process, those cloud sourcing type of things. Just exactly to your point. It creates some issues with us as far as inventory and replacements. And we also don't want to double dip. So if the insurance is going to replace something, there's no reason to replace it on Amazon wish list, right? So we want to use our resources wisely and be respectful of what we're receiving. And so trying to manage that outside of that. And there's also some legality things that creep in on that Amazon wish list side because some of the sources of some of those things and some of that causes some issues with us as far as bidding and contracting and those things. So we've asked people not to do those. We know people want to help and that's a great way to help, but we would appreciate just either, and if a monetary donation isn't possible, we would ask to just give us a little time because we're still working through what we actually do need. Our teachers have moved, they're trying to sort through everything and go back through their damage list. And so, if we do have some specific needs, people can always fill out the volunteer form. So that form is available on our Facebook page and our website and say, I would like to donate items. These are the type of items I have. And if we have needs for those, we can certainly reach out and get those. So we appreciate all of those things. I would tell you at this point, and I can't believe I'm saying this, we do not have organized work efforts for tomorrow. We still have teachers settling into classrooms. We have work to do. We have a lot going on. I don't want to pretend for a second there's not work going on. But we have dismissed our staff as a whole. We're on an as-needed basis, and people are in that have things to do, that need to settle in classrooms and get ready. But it's incredible to be at this spot in this moment because as I told the staff this morning, the reality is 6 hours. We held our staff out of those buildings till we could get damage assessments, till we could get structural assessments and all those things. We brought them in at 11 a.m., I think,
Tuesday, that's right,
Tuesday.
that's right.
on Tuesday, had a staff meeting, talked about I know, it's so, the days are.
Yeah.
that was 3 years ago.
The days are running together a little bit. We brought them in at 11 a.m., had a full staff meeting, talked to them about the damage and what was going on, where we were, what our next steps, what the process was. We asked them to get some lunch and get to their buildings, get to work. We asked them to basically put in a normal day. We don't want to overextend and we don't want to cause issues. And with the damage in the roads, damage in power, a lot of our staff still didn't have power, myself included. We were trying to be mindful of people needing to get out before it got dark, get generator fuel, get home, get whatever. So we tried to limit that day. So between Tuesday morning and then I think it was around 10:30 that Dr. Welch called me from Wyman, the Wyman West, the early childhood building, and said, we're done. And I said, you're done with what? And she said, we're done moving. I said, you're done moving what? And she said, no, we're done moving. And I said, that can't be. So if you do the math, what I told the staff this morning is 6 hours. We moved the equivalent of 1,000 kids and 30-some classrooms in 6 hours. And pretty incredible. But it was with a lot of help from our community volunteers, and our staff just jumped in. Every building that wasn't impacted, high school, Truman, everybody was at every building and just found some way to be helpful. We were doing laundry, we were doing all kinds of things that people, I guarantee you, had no idea. We washed toys, we watched kids, we watched staff kids. We had things going all over the place. And I want to echo what Dr. Blue said to you as a board. I am so grateful that you empowered us and trusted us. I told the admin staff this afternoon, we had a wrap-up meeting at 3, that I am grateful that in all of this, Dr. Welch, Dr. Fulton put together a lot of those protocols for moving the classrooms. We were dealing with the facilities and the safety pieces. We pulled it all together and handed it off to the administrative team, and they did it.
Yeah.
And so having good people and having the staff that we have from our custodians, our food service people, all the way up through, they've just taken their pieces and ran with it. And it's so great from my position, and I can tell you, I'm still just dumbfounded that it happened so quickly. But I'm so grateful that we have the people and the staff that we have to be able to empower them to just do what needs to be done, and it was done. It was just done that quick.
Remarkable.
And it's pretty incredible. So lots of stuff and things, lots of things to still sort out, and some details. Transportation's the big one. We know people need that information, and we need that information. We kind of have to have some things we need to get there. So I know they're going to work on that diligently tomorrow. We had some conversations this afternoon. They've already put some things together. We just have to fine tune. But we will communicate out. I guess the last thing, and I'll see if there's any other questions. We will continue. Our goal is to communicate daily. Please know that we're not just going to tell you stuff. We'll wait till we have factual things to tell you. But I think for these next few days, some of the communication may be, we're still working on it. Please be patient. But we don't want people to think we've forgotten or missed something. So we'll continue communicating. We'll communicate about the mitigation efforts to help answer those mold and mildew questions, air quality questions, those safety pieces. We want everyone to know that we're not bringing our kids back into a place that's not safe for them to be. We have 8 weeks of school left, and we want it to be the best it can be. So, other questions, other thoughts?
It's just really impressive, honestly. Not only that you guys have led the effort, but you were able to trust the rest of the administration. I've not heard the words, that's not my job.
No.
Everybody is willing to do everything. It's pretty amazing.
It just shows the true strength
Yeah.
and resilience and the dedication that, the passion that everyone has. I'd made a comment on Facebook and talked about the leadership and leaders, and I know a lot of people thought I just meant you, Dr. Darren, and I do mean you as well.
No.
But I meant everybody. Our students were leaders, every single person that was doing, I mean, they were working very hard. Kids are, cleaning up debris and carrying stuff, and there was not anybody complaining, and everybody was just very, very proud of what they were doing, I felt, and I think that it does nothing but make us even stronger. So seeing that resilience in everyone.
And I don't want to single her out because of trying to take away from anybody, and that's not the point. But I do want to say, so Jen Heflin is our principal for Wyman for next year. And again, I want to thank Union Schools. They looked at this as a professional development opportunity for her and allowed her to come down and be a part of this process without having to take leave. They took care of that and provided that coverage for her to be a part of this. But two things. One, I think it was great for her to be there and be a part of it. But setting that aside and setting her willingness to do that aside, what a better view of Rolla could an incoming person have to our family.
Right.
She got to see the very best of what we have.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
that's the positive stuff that will come out of this. So,
Absolutely.
okay? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's one of those times when you wish thank you is a bigger word.
I know. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Written reports. Superintendent report. I guess that was kind of the superintendent report.
That was most of it.
You had something left?
No, well, I do want to just say, we know that there are a lot of activities, a lot of things still happening. We've resumed track practice. We have field trips coming. We have kids that have gone out and competed during this time. We are doing our best to maintain normalcy to the greatest extent possible. Again, I would just ask the community to continue with the support that we've seen and the flexibility and patience as we continue through these next few weeks. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Just
Oh, that's it?
continue being,
Okay.
to
being great?
continue, yes.
Okay. All right. Written reports,
We do not need to
We
return.
didn't have any.
we didn't have any.
No,
That was great. We had no written reports.
and we do not need to return to
Mark?
closed.
We do not need to return to close, so Mark Sullivan.
Mark, it's your turn.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
He got it.
Meeting